Here's a really good example of where a fraud was busted and victims got their money back. The Department of Justice has announced that this wire transfer scam had 33,000 victims, but they're going to get back $148 million. This was an investigation that happened over the past couple years, and it's something we talked about in prior videos of the third-party liability, right? So in this case, victims were told to wire money through Western Union or some other scam, and the third party, Western Union, is going to distribute some of that money. And it was discovered because the company didn't follow their own procedures and didn't notice the fraud. So if you're a victim of a fraud, like we've talked about in prior videos, make sure you document everything, do a good investigation, find out what your rights are. And third parties in many cases are the source to get your money back. The fraudster may have spent all the money, they may be tough to identify, they may be hard to find, but third parties who assisted the fraud, even without their knowledge, sometimes accidentally, it could be attorneys, it could be banks, it could be accountants. Many times they have insurance policies that cover these losses. So in this case, the Justice Department is accepting applications for compensation of the victims. This scam happened 3 years ago, and the money's going to start being doled out now. In this case, overall, Western Union agreed to pay out $589 million available to compensate victims. So, it's a long struggle. This happened in 2017 when they entered into the agreement. It's 3 years later, almost 4 years later, where these people are going to start getting their money back. So don't give up. Do your investigation, document things, do some research, get the records verified so you have reports and information so that when it comes time to apply for this restitution, you don't just have a verbal say-so of how it happened. You have all your ducks in a row. You have an investigation on what happened. You have identities of the people who did it. You have your records. You have copies of forms, and you could submit it to get your restitution, because even though it was a long time, it's better to get back your money 3 years later than to not get it back at all. And in the meantime, there wasn't much work to do. Most of the work was done at the beginning. It's just a waiting game. And this is an example of third party. The Department of Justice were complicit, said that Western Union were complicit in the scams, right? The company aided and abetted the wire transfer scam by failing to suspend or terminate agents. This is where if a company follows their own fraud procedures, then the scam doesn't continue, right? Scammers need resources. They need banks. They need Western Union. They need accountants, lawyers, even sometimes sales agencies, other companies, advertising firms to keep the fraud going. And if those companies knowingly or unknowingly help that fraud extend, they may become liable, as you saw in this article. 500 or 600 million is nothing to sneeze at. This is a major company that had to kick in when the money seemingly evaporated from the scammer. So if you've been a victim of a fraud, don't give up hope. Do a good research, investigation, document your losses, document what happened, all your communications, maybe find out IP addresses from some of the scammers, and there may be a victim's restitution opportunity down the road where you can get all or some of your money back.